So again, wow. Hey, much love and respect. Pura vida, mi gente. Thanks for tuning in once again. Um, appreciate you guys taking the time to do that every time, of course. Today we're just gonna continue talking about the Moche culture in Peru. I had a couple of old footage I had here stored up. This one I had for a while, and not the best quality to view or to even listen to. The sound was really bad to understand. So I tried fixing it a little bit so it can be viewable and just I can share with you guys, and so it doesn't get lost in some archive somewhere or somebody's old dusty VHS video cassette. All right, so hope you guys enjoy it. You know, just wanted to have it here available for everybody on YouTube. Before I do that, we're gonna talk about. I'm gonna get a little excerpt of my old Black Panther video when we're talking about Waka or Wakas, right? Sacred sites. What is a Waka? Because this is where they're digging in this video and this documentary. Archeological site, they call these places Wakas. All right. So we're gonna get into that real quick. And then we're gonna get into a little slideshow. All right, little slideshow. Just so you guys can see what they found in these archaeological places with the dealing with the Moche culture. Because in a lot of these documentaries they don't show all of it, you know. So I mean I don't show all of it, you know, it's too much. You go online, you see how much artifacts they have. But we're gonna go over a little bit today just so you guys can see what they're finding in these places, right? All right, so Waka is related to Waka, like Waka, Wakanda, just like sacred spirit or the great spirit, right? A sacred place, Waka, same thing. And in these Wakas, especially in this site right here where they're showing a documentary, they don't really show it, but they found depictions of jaguars in the murals. There's anthropomorphical depictions, you know, half animal, half human, which is were jaguars, just like the Olmecs, just like the Mayas. And you see it amongst these people too, the Moche. They got a lot of jaguar symbology, a lot of dragon symbology, and many other things. Moche are very interesting. We're gonna definitely get into the Moche a lot more deeper when we come into these old books, you know. So again, this is just a documentary that we're just trying to restore and have it available for everybody. I hope you guys enjoy it. Um, let me go ahead and get into the Wakas, right? What's a Waka? Waka, Waka, Waka. All right, 1 second. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate everybody in the chat. So again, Wakan, Waka, or Huaca or Waka, says here in the Quechuan languages of South America, a Waka or Waka, look how they spell it, W-A-K-A, Waka, is an object that represents something revered, typically a monument of some kind. The term Waka can refer to natural locations, such as immense rocks. Some Wakas have been associated with veneration and ritual. The Quechua people traditionally believed every object has a physical presence
and two Kamaken spirits, one to create it and another to animate it. They would invoke its spirits for the object to function. So Waka, a revered place or sacred place, right? Where they perform rituals. Waka, Wakan, Waka de Luna. The Waka de Luna or Temple of the Moon was part of the ancient Moche capital. In Moche, right, we get the Mexica, right, Moche, and we get also Hebrew way of saying Moses, Moshe, Moche, Meshi, Mexica. It was constructed in northern Peru between the 1st and 8th centuries, using millions of adobe blocks. The Moche civilization developed great religious complexes, or wakas, formed by successive entombments of older structures, filled in and covered with mud, brick, or adobe. Alright, again, so the Moche considered wakas religious complexes. Again, sacred places, just like Wakan. Again, Waka, also spelled Waka, Quechua, sacredness, or equal holiness. Again, Waka, Waka, Waka is the same. Wakan, sacredness, holiness, just like Wakan, Wakantanka, Wakanda. Same people. Ancient Inca and modern Quechua and Aymara religious concept that is variously used to refer to sacred ritual, the state of being after death, or any sacred object. The Spanish conquistador Pedro de Cieza de León believed that the word meant burial place. Waka also means spirits that either inhabit or actually are physical phenomena such as waterfalls, mountains, or man-made shrines. The aforementioned shrines, which are found throughout the Inca territory from Ecuador to Chile, may be as simple as stone piles piled in a field, apachitas, or as complex as stepped pyramids that were once topped with canopies and carved images. So these wakas can be stepped pyramids, right? These sacred religious complexes are also pyramids, wakas, wakan. So how many sacred places or wakas do we have throughout the Americas, right? So it's not just confined to one location, Wakan, or Wakas, or the Wakan, the Great Spirit, sacred place. And one more thing about the Wakas of Peru. It says here in La República, a Peruvian online newspaper. I don't know if it's printed in paper too, but it says, in their interior environments, they're talking about the Waka of La Luna. Archaeologists found a 2-meter long wall where you can see the image of 4 jaguars that seem to parade through the interior of the ancient Moche temple. So look at that correlation with jaguars in this Waka jaguars. All right, 3,500-year-old friezes discovered at Waka Garagay in Lima, Peru. So in this other Waka in Lima, Peru, they found some sculptures on the wall here buried in this Waka, this temple, right? This Waka, this is supposedly 3,500 years old, and these friezes, as they call them, are carved on a pilastered column placed at the Waka ceremonial courtyard. But I saw also a video of this excavation of this Waka, and it says that the sculptures here are actually human anthropomorphic felines, or a human, half feline, or half panther, half jaguar, right? Just like Wakanda, all right? So in this Waka, we have another correlation to feline and human, and this is in Peru.
All right, all right. So that was a little bit on the wakas or the sacred sites, or this is where they're digging in this old documentary, especially the one that they were showing with the jaguars and all that. That's where they found, Sipan and all that, the Lord of Sipan. We saw in another documentary. All right, so what we're gonna view right now is a little slideshow. A little slideshow. Some of the artifacts they found in these sites that we're gonna see. where these people were digging. They're not going to show obviously the artifacts, but I'm going to show some images. Of course, this is not all of them. Again, if you want to see numerous ones, you can go on Pinterest or just Google images. Just put Moche culture, Moche artifacts, Moche pottery. You guys will see it's so many, right? It's pretty interesting ones too. All right, we're gonna take a look at that right now. All right. Wow, yeah, nice little slideshow there. Hope you guys enjoyed that. So that was just a few artifacts, guys. I could have gone. I can do a whole series on just Moche artifacts. I can do a whole series just on a particular tribe's artifacts. There's so many that they never showed us growing up. We would have been like, hey, how come this person looks like homeboy down the street? you know. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed that little slideshow. Just to get an idea of what they were finding in these archaeological digs and these old documentaries. They didn't show us all this stuff, in the documentaries. So just wanted to go ahead and so you guys get an idea, so you can know where they're digging. They're digging in a Waka, a sacred place. All right. And then they're finding all kinds of things like these artifacts we just showed. All right, and we just showed a little area of the Moche culture. Yeah, it was pretty extensive. And this is again before the so-called Incas, right? A lot of nations before the so-called invading Incas. All right. So we're gonna get into again this old documentary. Let's see what they had to say about what they're finding. Again, this was restored. It wasn't viewable or comprehensible. The audio was really bad, and the picture was really bright and fuzzy, really bright and fuzzy, and the audio was really bad. So I tried to fix it up a little bit, and I think it worked a little bit. So I hope you guys enjoy it.
Even today, the ship sand dunes are always threatening to erase signs of civilization. Yet despite the harshness of this, one of the finest deserts in the world, man has managed to thrive here for thousands of years. Before the Europeans came to this land, and centuries before the Inca built their empire, an almost forgotten civilization left their mark on this land. It was thought that their ways were lost to us forever, their secrets plundered by grave robbers or buried in the flowing sands. But now their pyramids are offering their secrets to archaeologists. A stunning series of discoveries is revealing perhaps the greatest civilization to come to life in this century. This is Machu Picchu in Peru. By the 15th century, when the Inca had built this magnificent city, the remarkable accomplishments of an even more ancient culture called the Moche were no more than a memory. They had vanished some 700 years earlier. Between the 1st and 8th centuries AD, at the time that Rome ruled the Mediterranean world, the Moche civilization prospered. In the narrow corridor bordered by the Pacific to the west and the Andes to the east, the Moche flourished for 7 centuries. This is San Jose de Moro, now a sleepy agricultural village. It was once an important Moche ceremonial center and a burial place for their elite. Here, a dedicated group of archaeologists is unraveling the secrets of a civilization that nearly disappeared from human memory. After hundreds of years in near oblivion, the Moche are being revealed at a breathtaking pace. New findings are showing that the fantastic and often bloody scenarios depicted in their art may have been less a depiction of their mythology than a record of earthbound ritual. Christopher Donnan, director of the Fallon Museum at UCLA, and Peruvian colleague Luis Jaime Castillo direct the excavations. The discoveries at these sites are nothing short of astonishing. The Moche are proving more complex and more powerful than the archaeologists had ever imagined. Donnan and his colleagues are in a desperate race against grave looting. Ceremonial bottles like this one are rarely found in context, and hence much of what they can tell us is lost. This tomb is one of the few places where the archaeologists have beaten the grave robbers to the punch. This is a long-awaited victory. Real treasures are emerging from the resting place of a person of immense importance in Moche society. An unusual ceremonial bottle has been found. The team doesn't know it yet, but this bottle is a missing piece of a puzzle that has eluded them for many decades. The mysterious drawings they are finding on the bottle are challenging their understanding of Moche society. The dramatic events depicted in the Moche bottles tell such a bizarre story that archaeologists have questioned whether the characters portrayed in them are mythical or real. This unfolding mystery is what makes Moche archaeology so exciting today. Donna McClelland has tried for decades to decipher the meaning of the intricate Moche drawings. McClelland's work has helped to identify some of the most important characters and their role in Moche rituals. For years, one ritual that recurs in Moche bottles has captured her imagination. This ritual is the most bizarre and intriguing theme described by the hands of Moche artisans. Painted on this bottle is a cast of characters bound in a blood rite. This illustrates the recurrent Moche theme of human sacrifice. The Moche's prisoners have their hands tied and throats cut. In the next sequence, a priestess, identified by her twisted braids that end in serpents' heads, holds a ceremonial goblet filled with blood. In the final sequence, a bird warrior presents the goblet to a magnificently attired lord, who then proceeds to drink the prisoner's blood. For Walter Alva, it seemed that this important cast of characters would always remain a mystery. For many years, he had seen them passing the blood-filled goblet in the Moche drawings, but had never found any real evidence of their existence. Then chance brought to light one of the most important archaeological discoveries in the Americas. Walter Alva is director of the Bruni Museum in Lambayeque. For decades, he has collected the beautiful ceramics of the Moche, but he had never found any in their original burial place. It seemed that all the Moche tombs had long since been looted. Then, in 1987, Walter Alva received the most important phone call of his life. It was from the police. In Sipan, a small village in the area, a bloody battle had broken out between some of the villagers. When police raided one of the homes, they found what looked like the plunder from an ancient grave. The chief of police didn't know exactly what he had on his hands, so he summoned Alva to the station.
On my way to the police station, I was thinking that it was probably just a case of a few ceramic pieces without great value, which is normally what I had seen requisitioned from grave robbers during my years as an archaeology inspector. When I arrived at the station, the colonel brought out this first object from a plain paper bag. I was paralyzed at the sight of it, and I never expected to see something like this. I felt as if I were in a dream. I was speechless for several minutes. The colonel was intrigued. "Well, come on," he urged. "Tell me something. Is it important or not?" "First, let me get over the shock," I replied, "because this is something of such importance that I'm still dumbfounded with surprise."
From a paper bag, the police officer removed the most astonishing gold objects that Alva had ever seen. Clearly, a royal Moche tomb had been discovered, but by the wrong people. A gang of grave robbers had dug a tunnel 23 feet deep into a pyramid in Sipan. There, they found a treasure beyond their greatest expectations. An unlooted Moche royal tomb. They filled 11 large sacks with gold and fled. But the treasure unleashed violence. One of the grave looters was killed. Another, fearing for his life, called the police. Fenton spread. He was not the only one who understood what the treasure meant.
Early the next day, when we arrived here, there were dozens of men, women, and children digging in the earth with their bare hands, or any tool, or any scrap of metal or gold object that they could find.
For Alva, it was a disheartening sight to see the entire area full of freshly made craters and shafts. Alva was devastated. The rarest of all finds, a Moche royal tomb, had been completely ransacked. The opportunity to have found evidence on any of the characters illustrated in the blood rite had vanished. At the risk of their own lives, Walter Alva and colleague Luis Chero set up a provisional camp in Sipan to protect the monument from further looting. As soon as possible, they began a careful excavation. They still hoped that perhaps another royal tomb at the site might have miraculously escaped being plundered. Five months later, they found it. The first royal tomb of the Moche culture had been found intact. The tomb of the Lord of Sipan, the sovereign of the by his concubine at the temple. Many of whom were sacrificed at the time of his death. In his right hand, the Lord of Sipan held as the symbol of his power as a Moche ruler, a gold scepter. Its decorations show him subduing a prisoner of war who crouches at his feet. No previous excavation in the Americas had uncovered an individual of such wealth. Clearly, the Moche had not been just a handful of disorganized petty kingdoms. Their wealth and craftsmanship implied a society of unimagined sophistication and organization. Much as the European royalty had their crowns, scepters, and thrones as symbols of power and status, the Moche had theirs. Gold and silver headdresses, ear ornaments, and litters. The Lord from the sacrifice ceremony, depicted drinking blood from the goblet, had been found. Yet Alva knew that the ceremony remained a mystery, because the goblet from which the Lord drank blood was not found in his tomb. Alva hoped that one day it would be found. "200 kilometers from the valley of Sipan, a bus carrying an archaeological team arrives at a site traditionally thought to be the capital of the Moche Kingdom. The Pyramid of the Sun looms in the background. It is the most massive Moche structure known. and one of the largest monuments ever built by pre-Columbian peoples. It towers 135 feet above the coastal plain and covers over 12.5 acres. More than 100 million mud bricks went into its construction. A computer-generated reconstruction projects the pyramid's original shape and grandeur. Documents from the Spanish colonial period report that early treasure hunters diverted a nearby river from its bed to erode one side of the pyramid, thus gaining access to chambers in the pyramid's interior and the treasures they contain. The pyramids seem to have been abandoned sometime in the 6th century. Scientists think that a powerful El Niño weather system brought a series of natural disasters upon the people of this valley. Torrential rains fell on the north coast and washed away or buried many Moche settlements. In El Niño's wake, the Moche's fields flooded and their irrigation canals were destroyed. Famine, disease, and social chaos soon followed. Today, nearly 30 feet of silt blankets the pyramids. What was once a bustling royal city and ceremonial center, adorned with multicolored murals and filled with lavish palaces, is now a barren desert. Barren, that is, of everyone but the archaeologists. Across from the Pyramid of the Sun is the Pyramid of the Moon. It has been looted time and time again since the Spanish conquest, but somehow it has managed to preserve some of its riches and mysteries. This excavation, headed by Professors Santiago Uceda and Ricardo Morales, is revealing a series of courtyards and elite compounds located on the summit of the adobe platform of the pyramid. Sadly, although the Moche were masters of mural painting, very few of these works have survived to this day. As the team of archaeologists and conservators painstakingly reconstruct the wall, complex and colorful figures are beginning to emerge. Ironically, these walls were preserved through neglect. Painted during the early to middle phases of the Moche kingdom, they were built upon by later generations. The newer layers of construction preserved this mural from the abrasive ocean wind and El Niño rains for nearly 1,500 years. The workers are finding something intriguing that appears again and again on these walls: a fearsome Moche deity with interlocking fangs. He is accompanied by other gods from the Moche pantheon, who took the form of anthropomorphized animals. Baffled scholars are only beginning to sort out who these gods are and their possible significance. Recently, another mystery arose from the reconstruction of the wall. Within the architectural fill that sealed the painted murals, several elaborate Moche burials have been found. For some of those working on the art of the murals, the discovery of human remains is unsettling. But for physical anthropologist John Verano, the remains are a treasure. He has studied the Moche for years and is now with the Smithsonian Institution. He is in search of an understanding of how the Moche lived and died.
It's a burial of a man who died probably in his mid to late 30s. We can tell by his dentition. In addition to the ceramics, he was buried, as you can see, with objects of copper in both hands. This is also typical of the Moche. And there was also copper in the mouth as well. That was a characteristic burial feature. One of many interesting things about this skeleton was its location near this series of friezes, which were recently uncovered, which are beautifully preserved, which show a Moche deity, a god, who is familiar to many archaeologists working with the Moche culture for his fang teeth, double curved ears. He's associated with a deity known as the Decapitator, who has been found also at Sipan and at other Moche sites here on the north coast. a deity who appears to be associated with human sacrifice. And the possibility has been raised that this, in fact, may be a sacrifice that was made at this site to this deity, and then the burial was placed as an offering.
This is the massive pyramid complex of El Brujo. At this location, some of the most fantastic discoveries are taking place. El Brujo complex was an important ceremonial and burial center for millennia. John Verano is making the journey to this forbidding place just hours after the discovery at the Pyramid of the Moon to investigate another puzzling burial site. To the archaeologists accustomed to Moche burials, this one is particularly baffling. As he discusses the find with his Peruvian colleagues, it becomes clear to Verano that this burial is unique in several respects.
Even if there's all this iconography of sacrifice, its position is very interesting. It also shows pretty clear evidence of violent death, and that is very clear in the skull, which is fractured. It shows multiple radiating fractures, typical of something you'd see in someone who's hit on the head with a blunt instrument. The interesting thing, though, is that the prisoners, most of the prisoners shown in the murals are war prisoners, males, clearly males, but this is not a typical burial of a war prisoner. El Brujo is a site that, as we've seen, has a lot of iconography of sacrifice, prisoners being led to sacrifice, gods decapitating victims, but this is not a typical burial of a war prisoner. This is from the skeleton we can see that it's an adolescent, probably between about 12 and 14 years of age, and pretty clearly female. In many sites you see burials under doorways or under important ramps leading up to Wakas, and it seems that what we have here is a dedicatory burial, that is, people buried at the time of construction of an important building.
The friezes above the sacrificed body tell a vivid story about the ritual functions of the pyramid. On the first tier, a group of prisoners, bound and naked, is led to sacrifice by a Moche warrior. On the second tier, perhaps celebrating the capture and impending sacrifice of the prisoners, a group of Moche dancers stands with their hands joined together. Above them looms the decapitator deity, part spider, part man. In one hand, he holds the ceremonial Tuminai. In the other, which has been destroyed, he presumably held the head of a sacrificial victim. Adjoining walls show a profusion of images that have yet to be fully analyzed or understood. Another burial spot is found on the north face of the same pyramid. Something special emerges, an inlaid spindle whorl of rare beauty. It appears to be the tomb of a woman buried long after the Moche culture had faded into oblivion. Archaeologists found her buried with her weaving basket, still containing its full complement of weaving tools and various types of yarn. The yarn is beautifully preserved despite the passage of some 800 years. pyramid of El Grupo bears witness. Civilization upon civilization was built on top of the original Moche structure, creating many layers of ruins. The holes of grave robbers scar the landscape everywhere. So diligent have they been that in their search for plunder, the desert here more resembles the surface of the moon than the north coast of Peru. This is Pacatnamu in the valley of Jeque de Peque, one of the largest Moche complexes along the coast. Here have been found not the great lords of the ancient desert with their lavish ornaments, but thousands of the common people of the Moche era. Their towns and cemeteries were built on the periphery of these walls. For 5 years, Christopher Donnan and John Verano have worked here and have discovered much about the way the Moche led their lives. They built canals that still irrigate the soil today. These canals enabled the Moche to reap a rich harvest of corn, beans, avocados, squash, and other vegetables. They also harvested the teeming waters of the Pacific Ocean, bringing in catches of protein-rich seafood. Thus, despite their precarious position between the desert and the sea, the Moche managed to support a dense and highly stratified population. An elite class of priests and warriors directed the work of thousands of skilled craftsmen. The Moche had no writing system, but left in their pictograph descriptions a vivid record of their everyday life and culture. Musicians, beggars, metalworkers, fishermen, and lifelike portraits adorn their ceramics. The Moche were skilled in metalwork, but it is their ceramics that capture the imagination the most. This collection of finely crafted vessels from the Museum of Rafael Larco Herrera demonstrates the range and uniqueness of their work.
What's drawn me back to Pacatnamu all these years is the chance to better understand what Moche artists were telling us about a world that vanished centuries ago. Understanding their dark side isn't easy. It was a world of warfare, sacrifice, and punishment. At times, Moche potters depicted scenes of unimaginable pain and torment. One day to better understand the full complexity of the Moche world and to share this knowledge with the people who live here today. Many of the workers we had working with us were from this very valley. They'd known about this site since childhood, but had not really known what it was. And one of the great experiences we had was explaining to them what went on here as well as we could reconstruct and who were these people.
One of the men who I met more than 10 years ago in this valley is a man named Desposorio. He is a fisherman by trade, a very good one. My friendship with him has developed over a period of all these years, and recently he told me that these extraordinary early Moche ceramic bottles had been looted on a couple of occasions out here at Dos Cabezas. The beginnings of the Moche occurs with the development of an extraordinary type of bottle, three-dimensional sculptures of felines and seated figures and so on, Desposorio brings his nets out and then fishes off of this beach right here at the site. And as a result of coming back and forth across this area, right across the center of this archaeological site, day after day, year after year, he has monitored what's gone on here. And he can recall people who have come out here to loot graves on occasion. And he remembers where they looted and what they found. So he's become a wonderful help to us in trying to figure out how to begin our excavations here. It's at this site where there have been several finds by grave robbers that have yielded this extraordinary ceramics, which seems to be very early at the very beginning of the Moche civilization. And it's never been found in context in any quantity. So we're looking to come to this site, and here we may find it. That is, we may solve what is one of the great mysteries that still eludes us, and that is the beginning of this extraordinary civilization.
Long ago, many fishermen like this Pasorio set out every day on their boats made of reeds. Scattered in northern villages along the coast, there are others who still cast their nets from their boats just as their Moche ancestors did. But they grow fewer each year. In this valley, Desposorio is the last of his kind. In the early morning light, broken shards mark the path of destruction left by the grave robbers in their nightly diggings. For the archaeologists racing to beat them, the area surrounding the pyramid of El Morro, pockmarked with looters' holes, is a depressingly familiar sight. Chris Dunnan and his team were about to write off this site as a complete loss when they noticed something that gave them hope: a small bullpen at the base of the pyramid. Whether it was the barbed wire or the bull's horns that kept the grave robbers away, the grounds of the pen were left untouched. With permission from the pen's owner, they began to dig. 3 months later, among several deep chamber tombs, Chris Dunnan and his team have just uncovered what is clearly the burial place of a person of high rank. There is something eerily familiar about this grave. The ornament in the burial chamber. Skeleton is that of a woman. She wears a beautiful necklace of blue lapis lazuli beads. In her hand, she clutches a goblet with its copper patina. Her funerary mask has slipped, as has her headdress. She has lain hidden for 1,000 years, but Chris Dunnan knows her very well. He certainly never expected to meet her in this world. Before now, he thought she existed only in the realm of Moche mythology, as depicted in their ceramics. Now, he is certain that she is real. Physical anthropologist John Verano notes the red pigment on her skull, which indicates she was someone of great importance in the Moche world. She is the high priestess depicted over and over again in the Moche ceremonial bottles, the high priestess of the sacrifice, the one who conveys the blood-filled goblet to the Lord.
The most remarkable aspect of this tomb is that this person is somebody who we were lucky enough to identify in the art more than 20 years ago. We never thought at the time that we would ever see her, or even that she was necessarily a real person. But we found her tomb, and it's the tomb of a woman who, because of the art in which the context in which she represented, was a priestess, and she presided at a ceremony where they drank the blood of prisoners who were sacrificed, prisoners who were captured in war. When we uncovered this area and found these the very items that are the perfect identifier for this character in Moche art, and realized it was her. It was a wonderful moment for us. And then as we were cleaning this area, this was covered with ceramics. As we took them off and we found this large copper piece, we thought, well, what is this? And we brushed away, and there's the goblet, the very goblet that she uses.
The discovery of this copper goblet has opened a door. It proves that the warfare and sacrifice depicted in Moche art actually did occur, and were not simply mythical representations. For the 700 years of Moche civilization, a woman occupied the priestess's position, conveying blood offerings to the Lord in this goblet. That is how Donnan has identified her. The ornaments found at this burial site suggest that this could have been one of the last royal burials before the decline of the Moche era.
At this site, beginning to understand something about the collapse, the end of the Moche style as we know it, and the way it shifts into or evolves into the succeeding style that in this valley we know of as Lambayeque.
At their camp, Christopher Donnan's archaeological team gathers to discuss an extraordinary bottle found at the priestess's burial. The familiar stirrup shape is the signature of the Moche, but the decorations suggest that something has gone awry. To Donna McClellan's eye, the pictures on the bottle show definitely that after 700 years, the Moche culture was stumbling. The drawings have been rearranged in new and sometimes chaotic ways. The original meaning appears to have been lost. The finding of this bottle is shedding some light about the demise of this great culture. Castillo was convinced that the Moche, in the twilight of their civilization, were wasting too many resources in their ceremonies. At sunset, with the workday over, the local workers prepared to leave. The chamber of the priestess will be covered for the night, but very soon, when the excavation is over, everything will be carefully removed, and this magnificent tomb will be filled in, sealing it forever. For Donnan, there is great triumph in locating what is possibly one of the last priestesses of the Moche, but there is also a tinge of sadness in finding evidence that her culture had begun to crumble. But not all the ways of the Moche disappeared 1,000 years ago. Some of them live on in valleys to the north. And an echo of the ancient people called the Moche.
Oh, wow. Hey, I hope you guys enjoyed that little documentary. Try to bring it back. Trust me, it was like horrible quality. You couldn't really see much or understand a lot of the audio. So I was able to fix it up a little bit in the editing program and bring it to you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. It was a pretty big find when they were starting to find all these things in Peru. Now remember, this is in the 1900s. This is way after they had written all their books and everything and started their Hermetic Egyptology and Hermetic teachings, right? All right. But you know, an honor, you know, and a remembrance to the Moche culture and the people that there and the many other nations we're gonna discuss in South America, Peru, Chile, and all these other places. All right. Remember the ancestors. Hey Joseph. Hey Mad, Pete. See you in the war zone. Hey thanks for tuning in once again, guys. I'm gonna end it right here. Hope you guys enjoyed it. This little footage that was lost, honestly lost, but we were able to restore it. Hey, Boss Gaddafi, hey, I appreciate. Thanks very much, man. You're very welcome. So, yeah, much blessings, much love, much blessings to all of you guys here gathered. May Hawa bless you and protect you. You know, Hawa protect all the real ones out there, your people. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Hawa, Tawada Hawa. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in to all the real ones. Yeah. Yeah. Much love and respect. Pura vida, mi gente. Hawa. Después volverán los hijos de Israel, buscarán a Jaguá su creador y a David su rey, y temerán a Jaguá y a su bondad el fin de los días.
Yahweh, Kamada Shadala. Yahweh, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya. Yahweh, Baraka Yashadala. Yahweh, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya. Sound the trumpets, wake up the nation. We breaking the spell, expose the false narration. This ain't religion, it's the sons of Jacob, blood relation. Rise the lions, take your place, it's your coronation. Babylon must fall, it's time for your liberation. We get our land back, there's no negotiation. These are stolen lands, this is Roman occupation. Come Yasharallah, no more separation. We're dreaming away, we're just passing our days. Living with no breaks, we just stuck in this phase. With no escape, while truth is in your face. We really need to wake up, you know, before it's too late. Mentira y engaño entre la historia bien contada. Consciente no callo, mi lengua bien armada. Regar beat mi ancestro, herencia que fue robada. Entre encomienda esclavitud, nuestra cultura fue robada. Yahweh, Kamada Shadala. Yahweh, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya. Yahweh, Baraka Yashadala. Yahweh, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya. We gather the saints, we ready for battle. I stay keeping the code, drop nation unrivaled. Digging through history, the truth we unravel. Dodging the hijack, no time for your babble. On the road to Zion, our ancestry decoding. Warriors for blood, don't be provoking. I be praising Hawa, fringes on the clothing. We're closer than ever, prophecies unfolding. Spreading the knowledge, these droplets returning the oceans. I'm riding with prophets, most high my devotion. Breaking the spell, propaganda, holy Roman. Many are being called, but few will actually be chosen. Mentira y engaño entre la historia bien contada. Consciente no callo, mi lengua bien armada. Regar beat mi ancestro.